What's up, guys? I wanted to talk about the latest news out of NASCAR. Just found out that the director, I guess, of competition, I think his last name is Miller. They put out an announcement about the infractions and the rules package, as far as inspections of the cars, pre-race, post-race, that they're going to crack down. They're going to be a lot stricter with it, and most importantly, they're going to take the win away from somebody who is caught cheating or breaking the rules or pushing the envelope. So that's really good news. The devil's in the details. I don't know all the details. They didn't really get specific on what else they're going to do, in terms of suspensions or penalties. So I'm sure there's more to it. And what I'd like to see personally is that they would also suspend the entire team for a race or two races, whatever it is that they feel is adequate. But, this whole thing about suspending a crew chief, that's nothing. It doesn't hurt the teams. And these big teams, they always have a guy who's just as good as the regular crew chief, and they step in. They don't skip a beat. So it's a meaningless suspension. So I would like to see the entire team, including the driver, just not allowed to race the next race or whatever the case is. That would really get these guys to stop, with the bullshit. But it is good news on that front. I love hearing about this. I know there's some people who are already saying, well, what about the victory lane celebration and blah, blah, blah. What happens? These guys still get to celebrate. Well, there's no perfect system, right? So I don't see how they're going to be able to inspect all the cars and then come out and make a judgment, right after a race. I just don't think, I'm not sure it's possible. So I think it's one of those things you're just going to have to live with. A guy wins a race, he gets to celebrate in victory lane. That's the way it is. I don't think that has to change. I think that if later on NASCAR comes out and they're like, hey, these guys are caught doing something they weren't supposed to do, we're taking the win away, I love it. Honestly, I'm hoping that it provides a sense of shame that's been missing in NASCAR. For as long as I can remember, a lot of people, including the fans, have this attitude of, you know what, it's part of the sport. These guys, they're going to push the envelope, they're going to do this, they're going to, a lot of guys don't like to use the word cheat. They'll just mince words and stuff. To me, you're breaking rules, you're breaking rules. And the thing that's always bothered me is that the majority of the time that somebody's busted cheating, I would say 9 out of 10 times, it's one of these big teams. So it's bad enough for these smaller teams seem to be following the rules more. They're trying to, I'm not saying they don't try to push the envelope, but the people getting busted most of the time happen to be from these big teams. And that really bothers me because, you already have an advantage. So to, on top of that, still go out and try to break rules, that pisses me off. And it's usually these big teams getting busted. And I don't think that's a coincidence. So I'm really happy to hear that NASCAR is finally trying to address things. Again, I don't know all the details. They didn't really get into too many specifics. I'm sure they're going to release more information. But just hearing that they came out and they're saying, hey, fans have been complaining about this for a long time, and they're right. These guys, they get busted, and then they still keep the win. That doesn't make any sense. So finally, they're doing something about it. Also, this is another, a step towards proving that, yeah, you know what? Complaining makes a difference. It doesn't always happen right away. You got to be vigilant. But there's a lot of people who always like to say stuff like you're wasting your time and nothing's ever going to change. You know, these pessimistic people, they try to stop other people from complaining or voicing their opinions. And these people never get anything done. It's the people who complain that actually affect change. Doesn't matter if you're talking about NASCAR, if you're talking about video game development, whatever it is, you got to speak out. You got to push and you got to make your voice heard. And, you know, you got to be vigilant. Change doesn't happen overnight. And, yeah, you know what? It's about fucking time. But at least they seem to be getting the message that, yeah, they need to be tougher. They need to crack down. If you want casual fans or observers to take NASCAR serious as a sport, you have to enforce the rules. You got to be stricter. So they said pre-race, post-race, all that stuff. They're going to be much stricter, and they're going to try to move things along quicker so that you come to a determination a little quicker. That maybe the same night that the race finishes or whatever, the fans understand. They know what happened. Instead of like 2-3 days down the road, then it's like, oh, by the way, so-and-so, they got caught, with an infraction. So I'm really glad. This is something that's a pretty big deal to me. I wanted to talk about it because, yeah, you know what? There's so much negativity around the sport. It's good to have some positive news. And really, NASCAR needed to do this. The sport is crumbling before our eyes. And if they don't become active and do stuff, they need to make whatever changes they need to make. It's just going to get worse. I remember 2 summers ago, I went to Darlington. I remember that race. And I remember Denny Hamlin won the race, and not long after the race, it busted with an infraction. And I remember that watching the race live, and I'm sitting there, and I was with a large group of people, and we were all saying the same thing. This guy is all of a sudden, he's just blowing by everybody. He even missed a green flag pit stop, and he went down a lap. I believe he went down a lap or almost went down a lap. He ended up pitting all under green. The guy was still able to come out and make up all those spots. And he ended up taking the lead and winning. And he made it look easy. Now, yeah, he's a great driver. Gibbs is it's one of those mega teams. They build good cars. But, man, when you see certain things like that, there's something not right. And lo and behold, I don't remember exactly what the infraction was, but he had some kind of advantage. And I remember watching that race live, and I'm like, what the fuck? This guy came from so far back and raced his way through the field, made up all those spots, took the lead, and just won easily. That was 2 summers ago, I think. I don't remember all the details, but that's what I remember. And it's like shit like that is really sticks with you. And it bothers me. And you wonder why people don't respect NASCAR as a sport. It's shit like that. And then everybody hears about the infraction and all this stuff. But the guy, he got to keep his win. He made the chase. There's a lot there that's wrong. So I'm just happy these guys are addressing this issue, and I hope that they really get tough with these teams, And like I said, the majority of the time that people are busted, it's usually one of these mega teams, and they got to do something about it. So I think this is some good news. It's something positive to talk about, and I'm really glad to hear about it. I hope we get more details about the other aspects of how they're going to police all of this stuff. But just knowing that a guy's not going to be able to keep a win is a really good start. I'm hoping they follow through with other things as well. I would love for them to suspend the whole team for at least a race. Maybe next week or the following race after that, you don't even show up to the racetrack. That's a huge fucking penalty, man. And I guarantee you these teams will fucking stop. or they'll really pull the reins on all this fucking bullshit that they're pulling. So they really do need to get tough. I'm not sure if it's enough just to take the win away, but it's a big deal. And I'm hoping it brings a sense of shame, you know, celebrating in victory lane, and then right after that, you find out, oh shit, they took the win away. Everybody knows we did something we weren't supposed to do. That's something that I think has been sorely lacking in NASCAR as a sport. And in a way, I also blame fans, because especially these older generations that have been around, you know who I'm talking about. These people that are always saying how it's part of the sport to push the rules, to bend the rules and all this bullshit. Somewhere along the line, that shit just took on a life of its own. And it's things like that that hurt the sport, because people who are not hardcore followers, they hear this shit and they're like, really? You have a sport that advocates this stuff and celebrates it, and the fans are like, hey, that's part of, you know, if you're not cheating, you're not fucking trying, or that mentality. We got to get rid of that. It's bullshit. You want as clean as possible competition on the track as possible. We all want this to come down to the drivers and the crew chiefs and the decisions made and the pit crews. That's what should be deciding races, not guys having an unfair advantage because they're fucking cheating. So this is I think, a step in the right direction. I do want to know more about this these new rules, or how this new enforcement of rules. It's just something positive, and I think it was, you know, the type of stuff that NASCAR really needs right now. People really need to know everything's on the up and up, and that NASCAR is going to enforce everything appropriately. I've been waiting for something like this for as long as I've been following NASCAR, and, you know, they really do got to crack down on this shit. These mega teams already have a huge advantage. This is what really pisses me off. And they have this sense of entitlement. Like, you hear Kevin Harvick saying clearly, out in the open, oh, if my crew chief doesn't get in trouble, that, you know, for bending the rules, then he's not trying hard enough. What kind of bullshit is that? You know, you're fucking Kevin Harvick. You should say, I want to be on an even keel with everyone else, so I can prove how great of a driver I am, that I can beat you just on skill. But no, that's not what these guys are doing. They want to have an unfair advantage. And I think that hurts the sport. I think, you know, that's just me. So, I think it's good news. And I hope they clarify things more, let us know more about this stuff. But it's you know, a bit of good news in a sport that really needs it right now. So what do you guys think? If there's anything I don't know about these new enforcement of the rules or stuff like that, let me know in the comment section, and I'll see you guys around.